All right, there's a power in reflection, and that's what we talk about. Well, I also break the fourth wall on today's podcast. So, our incredible CEO Ashley sat down with me and took me through a series of questions on this previous year about how to reflect on the business, what our vision is, what our mission is. So, things that you're going to experience through this podcast, through me supporting you, but also questions for you to sit down and reflect on to bring clarity, make sure that you're operating in alignment, and take your business to the next level. So, we talk about how reflection is a powerful tool for shifting perspective, and our ability to reflect and make adjustments and having continuous self-improvement is essential for personal growth and especially our businesses. How we should, myself included, as I broke down in tears, take pride in our achievements, and how that comes from overcoming challenges and staying true to ourselves. How my vision and mission is to turn this podcast and our entire company into a family-like atmosphere that fosters connection and support. How my number one biggest focus, and I think a lot of people are well, how in-person connections and that ability to connect with people, how it fosters and are vital for meaningful relationships and growth. How empowering team members is crucial for the success of any organization. How when we share our visions and goals, it invites support from others so that we don't feel like the lone wolf, that we have to do it all on our own. How every individual in any way that touches our business or our life, their contribution is valuable and impactful, and how pursuing our dreams requires courage and a willingness to take action. So I share all that, plus I celebrate small wins because that's also important for maintaining motivation. So I can't wait for you to listen to this one. I cry, I get raw, and Ashley puts me in the hot seat. But I also invite you to take these questions, sit down, and give yourself the time and energy to reflect on them to bring clarity and clear next steps for your business. So without further ado, let's get into the show. And welcome back to a year in review. If you are watching this, you can see our incredible Ashley, our CEO, who's wearing a running on a caffeine and Christmas sweatshirt right now, which feels so timely and so perfect. And I always love her wardrobe choices. And reflection is, I feel like, one of the most underflexed muscles that I only do when Ashley forces me to, or sometimes pain points force me to. But I feel like it's one of the most powerful ways to shift our perspective from our prison to our power, and also live in the bucket of entrepreneurship changes, marketing changes, business changes, how we serve our customers change, how we show up in our business change, how we show up in our life changes. And it's completely okay and normal. And so today, as typical when Ashley is on the show, I'm getting put in the hot seat and I don't know the questions that are coming. And just for a laugh for everybody, Ashley invited me to institute my own one breath rule when answering questions. And so we're going to go with like loose 1 minute answers so that my heart feels fulfilled, but we're going to keep it here. And I'm also going to be recording another episode on how to reflect on the core functions of your business, how to reflect on how we deliver things for clients, even our marketing and operations. And so there will be an episode coming after this one. So mark your calendars. If you're not subscribed to the show, I'm mad at you with love, but can we just like get there at this point? Because I love you. And for all of you, like Chelsea and Jeff and everybody else who's tagged me on Instagram and Kate Perkovic, like, thank you. We hit the number one spot on top listened to podcasts in your year-end review. And I thank you. And we don't take that lightly because Ashley and I both love this show and we love serving and supporting you. And I think selfishly, and I will say this in front of everybody, I love hearing from you more than I love knowing that you listen to the show. And so feel free to take this as an invitation to slide into my DMs and let me know what landed or what we can support, or even going into the new year, what episodes I can create or what questions that I can answer, or any nuggets or takeaways, because it fills my bucket. And because I'm horrible, and I'm owning this, at self asks or asking for my bucket to be filled. If you have never left a review for the show, it would mean the world to me if you left us a review on like Spotify or iTunes, because I read them and I love them. And it lets other people know that this show is valuable or that they can learn from it or take anything away from it. So Ash, welcome back to the show that you run, but I'm the face of, and I feel like I'm just your ventriloquist puppet most of the time. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to do this with you today.
I feel like there's going to be a point in the future of our company and vision together, since, for those that don't know, Ashley's my ride or die. We're basically joined at the hip and we bleed the same color blood now. I think one day I would just love for no one to know and have there be a series where it shows up and it's just you instead of me, and we don't even give them context for why. And so I'm just putting that out into the ether right now. If you ever decide to take
Mm.
those reins, go for it. But I feel like so many people resonate so deeply with what you share at our events and what you share in the Alliance and even what you share with our one-on-one clients that I'm just going to throw that out there. It might be a fun pattern interrupt to do, but other than that, we're here today. Or maybe, and I haven't told her any of this until this
No.
current moment right now. Um, but welcome to our working relationship where I'm the dreamer and she's the builder. And for those of you who don't know what that is, you should probably go listen to our episode on dreamstorming, which we'll link in the show. Maybe at some point in the future, envision whether I get you and your entire family to live in Montana or we do it remotely, you come on as like the voice of reason in the back end of the show as like the producer, and you add your 2 cents. You're like my Jamie to Joe Rogan or everybody else, and you're just like, George, back on track, or I have something to add. Who knows what the future
Mm.
holds, but I'm just putting that out into the universe right now.
You know what's really funny is when I do listen to the episodes, I'm always just like, okay, hold on, wait a second. And then that's where a lot of the ideas come from that we like go through the process of then having George record. Because I'm always just like, wait a second, this wasn't totally clear for me. Do we got purple sprinkles or pink sprinkles on this? Like, give me some more texture. So I
And
love that.
because I love our audience and the fact that we just wrapped an event, which by the way, the event was incredible in Montana, and we have another one in April, and we just opened tickets because everyone's like, I'm coming. And so
Mhm.
if you want your tickets, go to mindofgeorge.com/event or just shoot me a DM on Instagram that says event, and I will send you the link. The dates we have, they're in April. It's in magical Montana, and this last event was absolutely incredible. But in full disclosure, I was told by 2 people that sometimes listening to me on the podcast is like watching a dog chase their tail around. So thanks, Holly. Appreciate you. And so I will work on not chasing my tail so much. So if you can stay with me, I will close all the open loops, and I'm working on having better structure to not be so neurodivergent, to give it a beautiful term, and how I deliver. And so, yeah, no more chasing dog tail. And maybe you having your presence on the show would prevent me from chasing my tail so much. And I know there's a lot of
Mm.
people that resonate with me of that too,
Oh,
because like you're running
100%.
meetings and you're in it. It's normal. It's okay. Love it. Love yourself in the process. It's just how your brains work, and it's fun. I prefer the Labrador excitement, so I'd rather it be that way.
You know, that actually leads into like one of my questions, which was like one of the lessons that you have learned over this past year that maybe have surprised or shifted how you've shown up. And you kind of answered that already. And is you going through the process of being willing to shift, you being willing to be molded, and you being willing to go through the process of restructuring and doing it publicly. Because like we're well over 500 episodes, and if you were to listen to like the very first episode of George and this episode, holy guacamole, like not only is the tone different, the energy is different, the sentence structures are different, the ability for you to be able to like really pinpoint those like mic drop moments, huge piece. But I would love to hear from you. I don't want to assume. What was one of your biggest lessons that you learned this past year?
I'd say the absolute biggest lesson I learned is also me learning to take my own medicine and advice, and
Mm.
understanding that I can speak things and teach things. And in doing so, it also helps me remind myself of what's important and to flex that muscle for myself. And one of them that I feel like truly integrated this year for me is that if I'm not consistently pursuing self improvement in every area, in how I deliver the shows, in how I structure them, and how I structure coaching, and how I deliver results to the client, and how I show up on social media, like if I'm not willing to consistently come from this frame of there's always room for improvement, then it felt daunting and heavy. But something shifted in me drastically this year to where there's this like childlike curiosity and humility of like, no, I always want to be better. I want to be able to communicate better. I want you to understand me better. I want to be able to make better content. I want to be able to facilitate the events better. I want the things that I teach and know and deliver to land. And there was a part of me for many, many years that felt shame around that and felt overwhelmed by that. Like thinking I was like, oh, there's a finish line, or that there's this point where it's just going to work. And that lesson carries through everywhere. And so for me, I'd say one of my biggest takeaways this year in reflection is to constantly strive for improvement, but with excitement instead of overwhelm, because all it means is that there's opportunities for me to be better as a father, as a friend, as a partner, as a coworker in the company with you, and including how I deliver, and to run at it with excitement instead of overwhelm. And I'd say that's probably one of my biggest lessons this year.
And that has really rubbed off on me too. And I've noticed that, yeah, especially over this past year, like even just like with going through our parking lot and all the ideas that you come up with, like this time last year, like I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm like paralyzed. I was like, how in the world am I going to get to go through all of this? And I was linking these tasks to people. And because of how much I care about the people, I'm like, oh, I really want to do this for so and so. But in you being able to model and show up and do that for everybody, that also gave me the permission slip to also see those as opportunities as well too. So thank
Yeah.
you.
Well, you're welcome. And thank you for acknowledging me. And I also think a part that is important there that you said in framing that is that there's power in being witnessed in it. And also, every time I've done that, it's like exposure therapy, but we're all allowed to grow. And
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing that I don't talk about often enough, but I would call out, is I can't stand the belief that like you're supposed to have all the answers and know how to do it perfectly and you just get it right away, and that you're also not allowed to grow and change as you age and continue, right? I was doing riddles with Branson in the car this morning on the way to school, and he's like, what's something that always goes up and never goes down? And it's your age. And in that view and lane, like things change in our life, they change in our business, they change in our day to day. And I think it's this beautiful opportunity to be able to like adjust and grow and get better. And I think it's a missed art, and it's how we all started, right? Like even
Mm-hmm.
back in the day when you started as like a copy coach, you started as like web design,
Yeah.
and then that
Yeah.
led to email copywriting, and then going to conversational copy, and like watching you grow as well. Is like, I love the mutual accountability that we don't have to speak about, but just when both of us embody it, it helps both of us be better. And I think it's a permission slip for everybody. Like, I always want to be a better dad, right? I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
be like, oh, I figured it out. No, like, how can I be better? And the current obsession is WWE wrestling matches with Spankfest right now. He wants to be thrown around the room and picked up and chased. And I'm like, I'm out of breath. Holy moly. But like, I always want to be better as a dad, and I always want to be better as an entrepreneur and as a person. And I think that there's this like lost celebration in pursuing that. Like somehow I was bad and wrong because I didn't have every answer, or that I didn't know the exact way. And I'm like, but the beauty is in discovering it and going through the
Mm-hmm.
process of finding it.
Yes. And on the note of celebration, I would love to bring to the celebration table what is one moment that you are so incredibly proud of from this past year?
I'd say at the deepest level, the thing that I am most proud of is for the first year of my life, I didn't let the circumstances of the world or the results that were created define my identity and paralyze my ability to take action to keep it that way. And I'm incredibly proud of myself as a man, as a father, as a partner, as a ex-husband, as a teammate to you, that something integrated in me deeply to understand that everything that shows up for me is an opportunity for me to bring more love, to bring more humility, and to be willing to take a step to make sure that everybody wins. And I have to give full credit to God at the front of that and own that all day, and like bask and bathe in the humility that all of it has been given to me as an opportunity to soften me and help me serve more, and truthfully developed the character and the scars to maintain the things that I've prayed for. And I've been praying very openly on this podcast through my language and through prayer that I want to change the conversation around business, and I want people to feel safe and feel empowered and feel inspired, and that there's enough for everybody to win, and rising tides rise all ships. And I'm proud of myself for believing in that, but I'm mostly proud of myself for pursuing it with love and faith, and not allowing the roadblocks and the speed bumps to get in the way. And I'm so grateful for the reinvention that's happened in my heart and in my mind and in how I show up for people in my life.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a breath or two or seven.
So good. Yeah. And the best part is, and I know I keep referencing this, but the best part is that like your entire journey of going through that is literally on the podcast. So if you're like, what do you be talking about? It's all on the podcast.
Yeah. And there's freedom in that, right? Like one of the concepts that we teach in men's work, or that I've been a byproduct of being facilitated in over and over, is that the biggest breakthroughs in our life come when we're witnessed in them.
Mm-hmm.
But being witnessed in them also means that we're coming from a place of self-love, self-confidence, and self-belief to be willing to be witnessed in them. And I think that that's probably the only finish line that exists in the world, is this unwavering belief in self, and recognizing that the more we're witnessed in our authenticity in every bucket, and there's humility that comes with this. Like, just for everybody listening, this wasn't, I mean, Ashley has seen me dry heave, ugly tear, like can't breathe from feeling my emotions and releasing and mourning stories and beliefs, but also not allowing them to influence or dictate my behaviors to be reactive, but to feel them and to process them and then choose how to respond to them. And I think that that's the growth. And as cheesy as it sounds, like when I go to the gym and lift weights, when it hurts, I celebrate it. But yet in life or in business, when things hurt, I tended to make them wrong and try to avoid them. And I did a post on this on Facebook, and I said, we try to manufacture a life that we can control, but it eliminates the need for faith and belief, because without resistance, there's no desire or drive to believe in anything greater. And we just end up with a checkbox. And like, to give full credit to a woman I love who's been on this podcast, Angie Lee, she did a post about this the other day where she achieved everything on paper. She has the ability to not work and to sell a company and to build this business. And she did a post on how it basically eliminated meaning from her life and purpose from her life, because without something to pursue or something to push through, we just start to atrophy. And I think it's like the greatest gift in the world. And it's not suffering. And even to give credit to another person who's been on the podcast, our friend Brian Bogart, who we love to pieces. I truly understand when he says embrace pain to avoid suffering, because pain is not a bad thing. Like, every time I choose not to eat chocolate cake 6 times a day when I want to, like, it hurts a little bit because all I want is to eat that chocolate cake. Right. But by making those choices and choosing myself and being willing to just own them is just such a deep place of empowerment. And even in the lens of, business and the clients that we coach, who I love dearly, but I serve to get served. And it's a beautiful mirror of like, where can I grow? Where can I be better? Where can I help them more? Like, where can I go deeper? And I think that that's what the spirit and heart of entrepreneurship is. It's not this sense of entitlement or anybody owes me anything. It's like, I'm owed what I earn. And other than that, there's nothing else for me, right? There is no entitlement. Like, the results I have, the friendships I have, the customers that I have, the results that they have, like, I can't do them for them, but there's always an invitation for me to be better. So I'd summarize that like, I'm only owed what I earn. And in order to earn the things that I believe in, it requires a massive, massive humbling of self-love and reflection from celebration of like, this is where I get to improve. This is what I get to be better at. This is how I communicate better. This is how I force myself to write podcast outlines, even though I'm crying my way through most of them, but they work better. And this is how I can document these things. And I think it's just a constant, beautiful reminder to pursue what each individual person, but for me, considers personal greatness or legacy or a state of being that like we want to bring to the world.
Which 100% leads into the next kind of section, which is all about the vision for the upcoming year. And you had mentioned that you truly do have this vision of being able to change the conversation around business, and also being able to, in my own words, of being able, really just being able to empower people to be able to stretch, to be able to grow into their greatness, regardless if it's life, business, any of that. All sides of the coin we're here for. And so I would love to know, as we move into the new year, what is one specific part of your vision that really sticks out to you that you would like to share with us today?
Yeah. In a lot of reflection and a lot of lessons learned, and for context, I learn more through inversion theory. So once I have the things that I swore I wanted and no longer wanted, it gets really crystal clear on what I do want and desire. And my number one vision for this year and really beyond is to bring as many meaningful connections and facilitate those connections in person as possible. There is just something that lights my soul up being in a room of physical space with people, whether it's one-on-one, one-to-many, and being in that bucket of people committed to their growth. And so for me, that's our events. And like really at a deep level, making them magical, not because we're facilitating it or we're delivering anything, but we create the space and allow people to come pour into each other while picking up frameworks and picking up tools and tactics and strategies to be able to achieve their vision. But this world doesn't change through any one of us as an individual, but the collective of all of us together makes a massive, massive dent in this world. And having people feel supported and loved, and creating resources for your business that allow you to donate them and spread your mission and vision and like really, really make a difference. And no matter which way I slice it, being on Zoom does not fill my bucket. Being in person, whether it's intensives with clients or one-on-one clients that come meet in person, or us doing our events and being able to do more of them, and it is the one thing that like brings joy and harmony to my soul, is witnessing people as people being in a room, pouring into each other while getting poured into at the same time, while all of you are pouring into me at the same time. It is the greatest gift, and something that I genuinely believe in and want to do more of. And I think it's the most important part for me. And even after this last event, it became drastically clear. And it was already pretty clear, but like drastically, of like, this is why we do this, like to see the impact of all of us taking a chance and taking a stand and pouring into each other and watching the ripple that it creates in people's lives and people's businesses, and the friendships that are made in the room and the partnerships that are made in the room. Like I genuinely believe in collaboration over competition. And I believe my mission given by God is to use myself as a tool and to pour into as many people as I can to make them the best version of them, or have a support system in their corner to be able to increase their impact. And for me, that is being connected with people. I'll take Zoom as like a secondary option, but like in person is preferred. But just deep community and collaboration is what lights me up.
One of the things that is really, really cool to be able to witness is being able to do the events with you, and being able to just watch, not even just how everybody else is impacted, but you're also impacted by the conversations that are happening in the room. And one of the things that I always feel when I am in the room is I always feel like it's your curated family. And it's like your curated home for the weekend. and being able to really allow yourself to just fully show up exactly as you are, I feel the immense amount of difference that is created, not just even in you, but everybody else in the room, because all the masks come off. We can so hide. And I was telling my prayer partner this last week. I said, we can all hide behind the cameras. Like, you don't know if I got slippers or socks. My socks actually don't match, but you wouldn't know if I didn't tell you. And you miss out on so many of the little things that when you're in person, you get to pick up on all of those, which I feel like makes it so much more special in the process.
Yeah, to tie in the first three questions, I think the conversation around business is that every business should feel like a family business, but not like the family you check a box with once a year at a holiday dinner, but like the one that you crave seeing. And I feel like in every company I help right now, even the companies that we are personally consulting and one-on-one coaching and helping them scale, the one thing that they all share in common is every one of them feels like their customers are their family. And that's what makes a difference in the world. And I feel like that's the conversation. And like, you can call me woo woo and whatever, but like love, like genuine love. And love doesn't mean placating. Love means like love. Like, I stand for you. I believe in you. Like, I want all of you. And like, this is why I love helping entrepreneurs. Like, we've joked for years, like the messier, the better. I'm like, great, let's go. We know what we're working with. Right. But like, artists get to take colors that make no sense and create beautiful pieces of work. And you take notes in music that together or separate sound horrendous, but when you bring them together are so harmonious. And like, all of us are growing every single day. And I feel like I've said this for years, like life happens in the messy details. And I feel like the more we're all just willing to be ourselves, the better the conversation in the world and the results that people get, and imperfect action over and over and over. And you made me cry because, like, truthfully, I think my deepest vision for this company and what we do is to create a family that I never had. And that's what I want it to feel like unconditional love, unconditional support, unconditional guidance. And yeah, I also have this incredible tools and skill set that I've developed over the years and experience in scaling companies and mindset and all of it. But like, those are the desserts. Like, I want the family, the feelings, and the safety to come as priority number 1 and 2. And then like, once you're in, I'm like, we got you. How can we help and serve? Like that, you nailed it. That's what it is.
As part of the upcoming year and the vision that you hold and have, what is one message that you would like to empower our team with as they also prepare for the team or for the year ahead?
What's one message I want to empower our team with? That's a really good question. I can only answer that by just sharing what's in my heart. And I feel like a lot of the times the people behind the scenes don't get enough credit for the impact that they create in front of the stage. And there's magic that makes a difference in so many people's lives. And I feel like the greatest gift that I get is I interface with people. I get messages from people. I get phone calls and text messages from people. But the ripple that is created from the people behind the scenes has a way greater impact than I will ever have being the face of it. And so the thing that I would say to everybody on my team, as well as everybody who has a team or is behind the scenes, is that I believe your job is drastically more important than mine. And without you, none of the difference is made in the world. And it doesn't matter what bucket you're in. If you have any hands-on in the working mechanisms of a company or a business, without you, the vision has zero chance of coming to life. And I think all too often I get too much credit for things that don't come to me and don't deserve to come to me. And so keep going and know that it makes a difference and it will be paid back in spades, because there's hundreds of thousands of people who have been directly impacted, supported, and lives changed because of the work that you do day in and day out that nobody sees. And I feel that at like a very, very deep level. And so just have immense pride in knowing that every single one, and it doesn't matter if one person sees it, 100 people see it, or 500 people see it, it makes a difference that will forever be immeasurable in the love and the heart and the care that you put into, quite frankly, most of the time, a thankless job.
Mm-hmm. So well said. And I completely agree with you. And I feel like the challenge for those who are running teams is to intentionally make sure that that flow reaches all the way down to the bottom. Any compliments that I've ever seen on any of our podcast items, I always try to send to our team. Because while you do get to see them on the front end and you say the most magical, glorious unicorn items in the entire world, I also am just so immensely grateful because I am not a video editor and I'm not an audio producer. And I'm also not a graphic designer. If you want it to look awful, you'll hire me for that. And so I fully +1 on that one.
Yeah. What's next?
Okay, so where do we want to go next? Okay, for our listeners, so obviously you just did one for the team. Let's then move it over into our listeners in general. Going into 2025, what is one thing that you would like to etch on their heart?
Another good question. These are all good. Holy moly. What is one thing I want to etch on the heart of everybody listening? That there is no other you. And if you've been gifted vision, sight, or belief on your heart of something that you want to achieve, you're worth pursuing it with every ounce of your being to give it a chance of coming to life. But none of us win going alone. And the more vocal, proud, and loud you are about what you want to achieve, the more people can conspire in your corner to help bring that vision to life. And so the only way to lose the game is to not swing. But if you make intention to consistently swing, you will become the person that can bring that to life bite by bite and have an entire army of people in your corner to bring that to life. But I believe visions and goals, whether it's leaving a company or I want to coach people or I want to be a consultant or I want to build a course or I want to launch a podcast, there's a reason that you're gifted with that idea. Mm-hmm. And all too often, people let the ideas that make the biggest impact in the world die because they don't believe it's possible. But you got gifted with that sight. And I think it's your responsibility to run at it as hard, as fast as possible while believing that it's achievable. And know that you never have to do it alone. Because there are plenty of people in this world that will stand for you, that will breathe life into you, that will support you, that will put stepping stones over rivers that feel uncrossable. But the only way that they can know is if you share and tell them what your vision is and you own it and believe it all the way. And I think every single one of us has a unique way to change this world or a conversation in this world. Most of the time in a way we'll probably never understand or be able to articulate, but it still doesn't advocate us of the responsibility of trying to pursue it at the greatest level to give it a chance to make it.
I hope you're really ready to take your own medicine with my last question. I was like, I didn't prompt you on your answer, and I was like, beautiful, you segue perfectly. How can our listeners support you moving into 2025?
If you can't tell, I have a sneaky shadow of not feeling worthy of asking or sharing. And I'm just going to go straight for the jugular. I thrive off people winning and then sharing the good news to help other people win. So the first part of that is to be really honest with yourself. Because like I said earlier, I don't deserve, or I deserve everything, but the things that I want, I have to earn. And I only want people to take actions based on them feeling like it's mutually beneficial or you've won before. And so number one is get your beautiful booty to an event so that I can hug you. We can eat lots of yummy food together, laugh, play, and support everybody else. Number two is to please continue to listen to this podcast, but also share it. I am the king of non-virality. God hasn't gifted me the gift of virality. He's given me the gift of consistency. And this podcast is one of my favorite places in the world where you watch me reinvent myself and constantly grow. But a lot of times it can feel like an echo chamber, and there's nothing more pleasing to my heart when I'm told I shared this with a friend, or the friend reaches out and said, my friend Timothy shared this with me, or Jeff shared this with me, and just helping people help more people. And truthfully, the third one is give yourself a permission slip to ask me if I can serve and support you in any way with your customer journey, with your marketing, with your mindset, with scaling your business, with feeling more excited about it, with being a support in your corner. I am 100% a DM on Instagram away. But if you don't pick up the phone, I have zero opportunity to answer. And there's nothing that fills my bucket more than giving. And so I ask that you stay engaged and you contribute to our community just as much as I do, because I learn from each and every one of you every day as well. And it keeps me sharp and it keeps me humble. And I couldn't do this without any of you, but I do believe that our podcast and the things that we share and the things that we teach have the ability to change many, many people's lives, but I cannot do it alone. And I would love any support in spreading that message, spreading that good news. If you have a podcast, I'll come on. If you have a stage you want me to speak on it, I'm in. You want me to come hang out at your event, call me. It fills my bucket. And so like, take it as an open invitation, and please give me or Ashley any opportunity to serve and support you, whether it's a DM, whether it's a sharing a message, whether it's asking for coaching, want to run an idea by, the more the merrier.
Beautiful. That's all the questions I got for you today. Thanks for playing along. You survived.
I survived. I'm only slightly sweaty. And my nervous system's like, yep, there you go. That was the honest answer, because you're sweating. So I love that. And I thank you for doing that. And as we wrap this, the thing that feels called on my heart to share is just immense amount of gratitude. Like, I don't take it lightly that even you listening to this are 35 minutes into an episode of your day that you chose of a diminishing asset to spend with us and to hear this. And my ultimate desire, even though I have no control over it, is that something I shared or something Ashley shared or something that you heard triggered something in you that supports you, that shifts your perspective, that it fires you up, that gives you another bit of energy to go attack your day, or gives you clarity to take action on. And like, I genuinely, just from the bottom of my heart, have so much gratitude for every single one of you that listens to this, that considers us a friend in your corner, a family in your corner, and lets us be a lighthouse in your life. And I will never take it for granted, and I will never take it lightly. And so just like, thank you from the bottom of my heart for anything that you've ever done or anything you're ever going to do. And even if that's just listening, it means the world to me, and I genuinely appreciate it.
We hope to be your hug in a mug.
Oh man, we're going back to the old coffee company. Yeah. We'll have to do another episode of like all my business failures and lessons learned, but I'm so glad that I did them. Newsflash, don't launch a coffee company. No margins, biggest pain in the butt. Holy moly, I'm glad I did it, but I'd rather pay a coffee shop to make my coffee now. So I love that.
We will put it on the list, guys. We will put it on the list.
I love that. And also, here's my challenge for everybody listening. Ashley asked some incredible questions, and Ash, I'm going to ask that we put these questions in the show notes. And here's my invitation for everybody. Grab these questions from the show notes and set a date with yourself and sit down and ask yourself these questions for you in relationship to your life and to your business. Because reflection is how we improve, it's how we grow, and it's how we get clear on where we want to go. And if you want to share the answers with me, send them to me in a DM, or even better, be witnessed in them, and pick a platform and post them. Put them
Mm.
on your social, send them to your email list, share them in your community, do a video on them, do a podcast on your podcast about them. But I would love to challenge everybody to sit down and reflect on these questions for yourself. And so to wrap the show, I'm going to turn the tables and I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
So for you, in reflecting on 2024 and then moving into 2025, what is the thing that you are most proud of in your growth and your journey? And what is the thing you are most excited about bringing into 2025?
Oof. I'm very grateful for the amount of healing that I've done this year. And it's looked very unconventional with social media hiatuses, like over 100 days of reading and just all the different things. And at the same point, I'm so grateful to feel more of myself than I think I have ever felt in like probably the past 10 years. And I'm very, very grateful for that. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to do that by being able to just hand you back over social and be like, here you go, have fun, while also giving me that opportunity, because I held off that thought for a very long time because I was like, oh, I could never do that. That's part of my job. And that's an immense amount of gratitude that for you, for just being willing to be able to support me in that growth, because definitely over the past couple of years, like you've been a really big catalyst for being able to help me come back to who I am and to be able to fulfill what I believe to be a large part of your mission. And so thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm very excited to read a lot more books next year. I'm like really like back in the bookworm mode, which I'm like so here for. But I'm also very excited to be able to be stretched and to really explore. Like that's kind of my biggest thing. Like I feel like even within the work that we're doing with our clients, like I feel like I'm being able to have the opportunity to just really explore and learn so much and learn like different ways, and being able to just, yeah, stretch myself in ways I never thought were possible. And so I'm just very excited to see what 2025 Ashley looks like and where she lands, essentially.
I love it. I love it. I'm glad I asked. So for everybody listening, go ask yourself those questions. Give yourself the space and grace you deserve to find the answers, and celebrate every single thing that you come up with, because it's a crystal clear current state of where you are, and it will help you get crystal clear of where you want to go. And so we love you. I'm so glad we did this episode. I hope this served and supported you. And just to keep stretching the muscle, I would love it if you shot me a message and told me what your biggest takeaway was, or a reflection moment, or something that landed for you. And so just slide into my DMs, because as you heard, Ashley's not on social. It's me, all me, just be my pretty little social media butterfly. And I appreciate everybody listening. And so this has been another episode of the Mind of George Show. You will either see us or me or somebody in the next episode, or you will hear us in your earballs. But either way, we're out.